Hey guys, welcome to the Tinkerbox, and today we are doing an all things Anvil episode. Well, not all things Anvil, Anvil use episode, and why do I always start at dusk? Alright, there we go, it's daytime, and so now we're going to go over enchantment costs. Okay, so, as a lot of you probably know, if you combine... if you combine two different similar level enchantments together, it goes to the next level, Fortune 2. However, interestingly enough, for every time you put an item through, this is just the same thing to get another Fortune 2, it adds 2 levels to the enchantment cost. So now if I put 2 Fortune 2s in here to get a Fortune 3, that costs 17. However, if I put 2 of these in here, it's going to cost 21, because each of these have 2 extra levels added to it because of the fact they've each been put through the crafting bench, which means every time you go through and you upgrade an item, eventually the costs are going to get so high you're just going to have to get a new whatever that thing is. So don't think you can hold on to something forever, because eventually it is going to become impractical to level that thing up. And in fact, it's not even going to become impractical, it will become impossible, because let me show you something. If I switch to game mode 0 and I put these two in, these two have a bunch of things. It says cost 36, and if I go to start renaming it, it says too expensive. Now, why does it say too expensive? Well, for anything that costs over 40 levels in an Anvil, it won't let you do it in survival mode. That's to prevent you from using an ender farm or something to keep a sword or a pick alive forever. Eventually, you will be forced to get a new one, and that also keeps you from making a ridiculous item. The way the costs are calculated is each one of the enchantments and their individual levels have a certain base cost to them just for putting them in the table. And the wiki has a chart of all of the different enchantments and what their base cost is, so if you really want to be specific and calculate, the Anvil page of the wiki will be in the description, and you can go ahead and check out the base costs. However, when you're in creative mode, it goes ahead and raises that cap, so I can get something over the level 40. See, this is level 43, and so I can go ahead and pimp out this pickaxe if I am in creative mode. Now, another thing about enchantments and combining enchantments is the material doesn't matter. So if I have 2 sharpness 1 swords to get a sharpness 2, it will cost 4. If I have 2 stone, the cost is 4. If I have 2 iron, the cost is 4, so on and so forth. And similarly, renaming an item always costs the same. Renaming an item always adds 7 levels. So if I start renaming this, a wooden sword costs 7 to rename. If I start renaming this, a stone sword costs 7 to rename. So renaming tools only costs 7 levels, and adds 7 levels onto whatever you're doing. Now, if you're thinking, well, I'll rename the tool and then combine enchantments to save on levels, keep in mind, enchantments have a base cost to them, so if I put this in here and start renaming it, it's going to be much higher than 7 levels, because of the fact just putting this in the crafting bench, all of these base levels add up. So remember, you can go look on the wiki, and if you go ahead and you rename a tool before, let's see, if you rename a tool before you put any enchantments and stuff on it, you are going to save some levels, but keep in mind that's going to add 2 levels to the next time you want to enchant it. So just keep in mind renaming things and all that stuff. Every time you put an item through the Anvil, it will gain 2 levels, and eventually it will become over 40 levels to be able to do anything in the Anvil with it, which means that you can no longer use that tool in the Anvil, because anything over 40 levels cannot be done. Now, another thing you can do in the Anvil is repair things. So this is a durability, these each have durabilities of 0. I meant to make them durabilities of 1, but I made them 0 by accident. And whatever their base material is, each one is a 4th. So it takes 4 of these to get it up to full health again, and just 1 gets it up to 1/4 of a health, and so on and so forth. The same thing with diamond. It takes 4 to get it up to full health. Again, it's 1 off because I made these a durability of 0 instead of 1 by accident. However, you will notice on this that for every one of these, repairs is 3 diamonds, and for every one of the repairs on iron is 1 experience point. So swords, or not swords, repairs do matter on what type of material it's made out of. Naming and combining enchantments don't affect the cost based on what the material is, but the material on repairs does matter and will increase the costs. Also, you can do silly things like rename a piece of dirt to something like compost of wolf, and there you go. Now I have compost of wolf. And the only problem with renaming something like a piece of dirt is I can throw it down, and when I break it, oh, well, I still have my compost of wolf. I can throw it down, switch to game mode 0 and break it, and let's see here, it's going to, yep, see, that's going to be dirt, and this is going to be compost of wolf, and they aren't going to want to pile up on each other. However, I can take a whole stack of ingots, and, oh, I need to be in game mode 1. So if I put 1 ingot in there and go to rename it, I can name it silver. And then I can just actually throw the whole stack in there and rename it silver. You will be charged 5 levels per everything in there, but you can just rename a whole stack of something at a time, and then you have a stack of silver, and when you break it apart, each one of these is a piece of silver, and if I throw it out and pick it up, they are all still silver. So that's basically it for the anvil. Lots of information, a lot of interesting stuff, and remember, too expensive does not mean that you don't have enough levels. Too expensive means you're trying to make something too powerful, or you've repaired it too many times. So I hope this video has helped you. If it did, please consider like, commenting, and subscribing. It helps me out a ton, and I hope to see you guys in a future episode of the Tinker Box. Toodles!